At 3 o'clock in the morning, I got a phone call, and it was Corey, and she said, "Get up here, something's happened to Eric." He went to sleep and never woke up.
Prosecutors say this was the third time she had tried to murder her husband, and she was finally successful. Okay, let's stop and start from the beginning. Look at these two. Freaking adorable, right? Never in a million years would you think that by the end of this story, one would be dead and the other would be sitting in jail waiting on their trial to start. Corey and Eric met in 2009 when she was a cashier at Home Depot. Eric, who was frequently in the store, thought Corey was super cute, but he was so shy he was afraid to ask for her number. In fact, he had to get a friend to run in the store and ask her for it. It paid off though, and they started dating, got married in 2013, and had 3 boys shortly thereafter. From the outside looking in, these two seemed perfect. Perfect, that is, until March 4th, 2022, when 911 gets a call from Corey Richins. Police arrived to find Eric Richins dead from what they believe at the time to be an aneurysm. Corey tells detectives that the night before they were at home celebrating a real estate deal that Corey had closed earlier that day. She says she fixed Eric 1 alcoholic drink, a Moscow Mule, and then he went to bed around 9 p.m. Corey said she fell asleep in one of their children's room because the child was suffering from night terrors. She claims she woke up at 3 a.m. and went back to her bedroom where she found Eric cold to the touch. So, like I said before, initially EMS thought that he had died from an aneurysm. But a few weeks later, his toxicology reports came back and he had died from fentanyl poisoning. And not just a little bit. He had 5 times the lethal dose in his system. Now, on top of that, the ME concludes that Eric died from illicit fentanyl as opposed to pharmaceutical fentanyl. We also learned that Eric had ingested the drug orally as opposed to injecting it. This information raises some major red flags as Eric's family is positive he did not use fentanyl. After learning this, police obtained search warrants for the residence, which is where they confiscate Corey's cell phone. Police learned 2 things through Corey's cell phone records. 1, she had deleted multiple text messages leading up to and following Eric's death. And 2, there was a significant amount of text messages between Corey and a woman named Carmen Lauber. So Corey tells police that Carmen was the housekeeper, but a quick background check shows Carmen also had multiple counts of possession of controlled substance and possession of drug paraphernalia charges. Investigators learned 2 other pieces of information that were major red flags. First, they learned that Corey had 5 separate life insurance policies on Eric, totaling more than $3 million. And 2, Eric's family and friends had come forward to say that prior to his death, Eric believed Corey was trying to kill him. And in fact, he went as far as to say if he died, make sure police investigate Corey. Eric believed Corey had tried to poison him while they were visiting Greece in 2019 and again on Valentine's Day in 2022, just a month before his death. Because of his suspicion, prior to his death, Eric had designated his sister to be in charge of his property and estate. He believed this would protect his assets and ensure his estate went to his children and not to Corey. He made all of these changes without telling Corey, so when he died, she assumed she would be in charge of his assets. Now, after Eric died, police spent about a year collecting all this evidence behind Corey's back. So that being said, the year after Eric's death, in Corey's mind, she was just moving on with her life. And one of the ways she moved on with her life was by writing a children's book to help kids cope with the death of a parent. How ballsy is she to profit off Eric's death when she is likely the one that caused it? She even went on a morning show to discuss this book. Check this out.
So you actually wrote this book with your children.
I did. Mm-hmm.
And it's only been a year. How did you process and say you go from processing death to I need to write a book and help others?
You know, I just watched the struggle that my kids were going through. And I actually, I went on Amazon and Barnes & Noble and trying to find something that we could use to cope at nights. Nights are the hardest, it seems like, for everybody when, dealing with anything. But I just wanted some story to read to my kids. at night. And I just could not find anything. I couldn't find anything that really, suited them or helped them find comfort and peace. And so, I was like, let's just write one.
So, just as Corey thinks her life is continuing to move forward, police gather enough evidence to make an arrest. On May 8th, 2023, Corey Richins is charged with the aggravated murder of her husband, Eric Richins. And here's when things get even crazier. In September of 2023, when Corey's in jail, she has a medical emergency and has to go to the hospital. While she's gone, they look in her cell and find this handwritten letter to her mother, which had never been mailed out. The letter is instructing Corey's brother how to testify at her trial. It includes comments like, quote, "Reword this however he needs to make the point. Just include it all. The connection has to be made with Mexico and drugs," end quote. She also reminded her brother Ronnie to say, quote, "Eric told Ronnie he gets pain pills and fentanyl from Mexico," end quote. And lastly, quote, "Ronnie should have texts from Eric talking about getting high as well," end quote. In November of 2023, prosecutors asked for a no contact between Corey, her mom, and her brother, but the judge denied the motion. So this now brings us to November of 2023. Corey is in jail and everyone is pretty much waiting for her trial to start. Until March 2024, when an absolute bombshell is dropped. Investigators come forward to say that Corey Richins' mother, Lisa Darden, may have planned and helped orchestrate Eric's murder. They state that back in 2006, Corey's mother had a romantic relationship with a woman. In April of that year, that woman died from none other than oxycodone poisoning. Further investigation reveals that Lisa Darden was the beneficiary of that woman's estate, made only a short time before she died. Investigators were also able to rule out an accidental overdose in that woman's death. Speaking directly about Lisa Darden's role in Eric Richins' death, the lead detective said, quote, "It is possible that she was involved in the planning and orchestrating of Eric's death." It is now March 18, 2024, and you are caught up on this case. A preliminary hearing is scheduled for May 15th, and I will keep you posted.